Hey there, my name is Chris Behling with 10 Pound Gorilla, and today I'm going to be taking a quick look at improving the quality of our data in Google Analytics by applying filters for internal traffic. Within GA4, we want to be able to improve the quality of the data that we're including or reporting on in analytics. And there are two common use cases that we can see that we run into where it would be great to be able to filter out that data. So the first one is if we're using a third-party tool that scans our website on a regular basis, an accessibility tool like Moncito or an SEO tool like HubSpot will be operating on a scheduled task where it'll access your website, look at all the pages, and that's going to create some overinflated page views and page view counts on your website. And filtering out that data is going to give us a more accurate representation of what your end users are doing. And by having more accurate data, we can make better informed decisions. And then another use case is we have content editors on our website who are creating content, reviewing it after it's been created. Maybe we're posting things to social media and we're testing links, things like that. In a lot of those instances, we'll still want to filter out that traffic to make sure that we're getting very reliable information in Google Analytics, again, so we can make informed decisions as we look to create more content or refine the content that we're creating based on what our end users are looking for. So I have an example screenshot here. This is from an example website where we have the Moncito tool added to the website. We can see each week, this I think is on Thursdays, it is hitting the website and all of the pages are being accessed, and it is overinflating the page traffic on the website. And this is really very quick traffic that is taking place on the website. It is accessing a page, grabbing all of the data basically, and then leaving. This creates page view counts that are higher than what we would expect. It's also showing us a pretty poor representation of what our end users are doing on the website. When a bot accesses the website, it leaves half a second later. And so we're getting a pretty low calculated average time on page for something like this. We can see in December, we implemented some filters here to exclude the Moncito traffic from the website. And we were able to implement this by adding some IP address filters to our GA4 account. So I have a GA4 example account here pulled up, and we'll just kind of walk through the process of creating and applying the filters in our analytics account. So they do a pretty good job at hiding the settings for this. There's just a few screens that we need to step through. In this article I have on our website, really, we're just linking to the resource that Google has on the recommendations for applying these filters. Even since we originally created this resource, the organization of this page and how it's laid out has been modified at least once. And so it's continually changing, as Google likes to do. So again, from the admin page, we're going to go into our data collection and modification, and we're going to go into our data stream. We'll select that stream that we've defined here, and then I need to go into configure tag settings. And then we need to go into show more. And then we have a section here for define internal traffic. And this is really just about defining an IP address in Google Analytics and defining a value for it that Google can then take actions on at later points. So in this example, they have a name of like company headquarters. That is a internal traffic type source. And then we can put in an IP address with different parameters. We might do something as simple as IP address equals and whatever that value is. And so if we have a static IP address for our company headquarters, we can put that value in there, and then whenever Google is added to a page and it's running, if it detects that the traffic is from that IP address, it can then take some actions on it, which we'll get to configuring in just a minute. So this internal traffic, that is one example, right? If we wanted to do a Moncito traffic filter as well, we could just create a rule for that as well. So we might call that Moncito. And technically, we could leave this as the default internal traffic type value. When we create our IP filter rules, we ultimately look for a traffic type value. If we have that match, then we can exclude it or include it and make a decision on it. And you could define Moncito as an internal traffic. It is an internal tool that you are using to manage your website, so there's justification to do that. But you could also create a new traffic type value for what Moncito is specifically, and it could be a value of Moncito. It could be something like SEO or accessibility. You could define what that is. You could define it as bot traffic, right? Whatever that value is, however you want to organize that data or that type of data. You can create here. And then you can create, I believe it's up to 10 entries for internal traffic rules. So you can create all of these different scenarios with different IP addresses when you need to. Once you've defined your internal traffic, we're going to go out a few pages here and back into our admin section. And in our data filters, we can open that up. And there's one predefined by GA4, which is internal traffic. And we can see that it is looking for a traffic type value of internal, which is that customizable value that we can define when we create those internal traffic identifiers or flags, if you will. Again, we can put in a custom name for what this filter is, what its purpose is, and then we can choose if we want to exclude that data or potentially only include data that meets this filter criteria. And so in this case, I can create the data collection related to our IP address, and then we can exclude this from our Google Analytics reporting. If we had created the data collection and called it Moncito, we could do something like that and then filter out our data for anything that's being flagged specifically for Moncito. There's a couple states you can define here, testing, just to validate what you're creating and what you're trying to filter is going to do what you expect it to. And then you have this active state. Once you've confirmed all of your changes and you're ready for this to go live, you can implement that and save the change. When I was reading the documentation from Google about implementing the filters, I had the impression that it was going to remove all historical data, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It keeps your historical data. It's only new data will be excluded moving forward. So if I removed that filter today, we would not receive data that would have been bot traffic over this period of time of end of December, early January. And so it's something you need to implement, let it run for a while, and you'll start to see the value of those filters. And then that gets me into things to consider, which is kind of what we were talking about there. It did take a while for those filters to start to apply. Google notes that it can take 24 to 36 hours to start to see those changes kick in and the filter rules to apply and start to not store that data. And last bullet point here is getting IP addresses from people, pretty straightforward, but you can send someone a link like ipchicken.com or just tell them to Google what their IP address is. If you have people that are scattered all over, like we are as a remote organization, you can get all of those different IP addresses and then add them in as needed. On the front of IP addresses, one consideration is if you have a static IP address or an IP address that rotates, you might not be able to implement something like this if your IP address is continually changing. The majority of our team has a static IP address, so that's something that we can implement. But for the people who have an IP address that changes, this type of filter does not apply for them. Looking at alternative methods, Google has some documentation related to the ability to apply filters after the fact. If you go into the reporting capabilities within analytics, you might be able to put in dedicated filters after the fact when you generate your report. And this would then allow Google to just record everything, right, as it is currently by default. And then you can apply some filters to your custom reporting that you're generating to exclude different data points. There could be some use cases for it. I tried playing around with it in the reporting section in GA4, and I couldn't get a filter for an IP address, so I'm not sure what I'm missing there, but that was an alternative recommendation that Google had in their documentation. So I may just be missing that reporting module, but an option to potentially look into.
Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our Gorilla Learning Lab. We have a lot more banana tidbits for you to get ape over. Check out our other videos or visit our website at www.10poundgorilla.com. I'm swinging on out of here.
Ooh, ooh, ah, ah! Ooh, ooh, ooh! You're not subscribed? That's bananas!